There was a recent news article about this. 2/3 of middle-aged Americans are underestimating the likelihood they'll need long-term health care.
And it begs the question, how can you address the issue when you're planning for retirement?
Yeah, that's right. Bryant helps people with that all the time. He's the president of Bryant Retirement Strategies and hosts Retirement Strategies Radio on KFAB. Daryl, good to see you this morning.
Welcome back.
Yeah,
Yep,
hope you had a
thank
good
you.
Easter.
This is such an important subject.
Thank you. Yes, had a great Easter. It's awesome.
Yeah, and then
back to work.
I know, back to work, and we're going to talk about long-term care. Most people don't realize, maybe don't plan for it, right?
Right. Long-term care is something nobody wants to talk about. Nobody wants to. Of course, most people would prefer not to spend money on insurance premiums. I certainly fall in that camp. But the fact of the matter is that 7 out of 10 Americans are going to use a long-term care product. Or put another way, a couple at age 65 is almost certainly going to use long-term care. All right. So it's going to, and it's going to have a big effect on the unaffected person, right? Because if you have somebody that has a long-term care need, you pour through a lot of assets. If it's survivable, then there complicates the future as well, but certainly it would complicate the financial future of the person that's even might have been the caregiver to start out with. So it's a really big deal.
So here's some more information about the subject of long-term care. How do you advise your clients, Daryl, to prepare for these potential costs? What do you say to them?
Well, the first thing you have to do is consider whether or not you would use long-term care or if you could self-insure, but the probability, like I say, of using your product is very, very high, like a long-term care insurance product. But it really comes down to proper planning with regard to income streams, right? We need to have assurance of income streams. We can go out today and access, just a few vendors have long-term care coverage that would include some form of return of premium if you don't use it, or perhaps it could be tied to a life insurance product. So it's almost certainly, well, it would be certain in that case to pay back someone at some point. So a lot of people like to go that route, but it begins with proper planning, doesn't it? And income streams that we can't outlive. There are some products as we set up income plans that will even have an income doubler in the event there's a long-term care need. So you might have an income of $20,000 per year coming in, but if you have a long-term care stay, that'll double for a certain period of time. So there are some very inventive products out there, and if you specialize in this area, then you of course discover those and you can implement them.
Yeah, but aside from long-term care facilities, healthcare costs in general, are they going up, and is that something you need to plan for as well?
Yeah, healthcare costs certainly are going up. You can plan on at least about a 3% increase in the cost of a long-term care stay. In Nebraska, long-term care help would be about $82,000 per year for a private room in Omaha.
Wow.
$82,000 a year. So you can see you can really pour through a lot of assets. If you get out rurally, you might be able to trim $7,000 or $8,000 off of that, but it's a very, very significant thing. And even if you go semi-private, you're still up around $70,000 a year.
Wow, that's a big chunk of change.
Something you've said, a phrase that you've used a few times here is talking about a stream of income you can't outlive. That idea might be new to some people watching, but that is possible, what you're saying.
Right, that is. And that one of the articles that I wrote for Fox was entitled The Fab Five, 5 Ways to Generate Income. That would be one of the ways that a person can generate income. So in the article that I wrote a while back, I actually read it this morning. It's pretty good. There's some good ideas there. Certainly a person can use the 4% rule, but that's a little dated. There we would plan on pulling 4% from our portfolio, right, and not fear running out of money. But that was really popularized in around 1990, and from 2000 to 2010, our domestic market only averaged 1.8. So the 4% rule would be very difficult to pull 4, right? If you're earning 1.8, that's obviously problematic. Other ways you can do that would be simply set up for dividends and interest, right? Just own products that pay interest or pay dividends. So you'd have dividend-paying stock or interest-paying bonds. That would be another way. You could use what we call a bucket approach, where you have these. Some people might have seen that, where you have you basically compartmentalize your retirement into time periods, like years 1 through 5, it's going to be this bucket, and years 5 through, say, 12, it's going to be this bucket, and as one is exhausted, then they switch, so that's an idea. Then there's the risk transfer approach, where we're just going to transfer all the risks to an insurance company in return for an income stream, and that's what you're talking about, where now you have assurance of income, it's guaranteed, right? Each of these ideas, however, have their problems. None of them is perfect. And so the fifth one is a blended approach, which is what I would favor, and that's what the Wharton School of Finance favors as well, where we're going to use components of each of those, and suddenly you have all of the things that you wanted to have in the first place. You have plenty of liquidity, you have assurance of income, you have some possibility for growth, you have assets that are going to go to your heirs in the event that when, it's not a matter of if, but when you pass, you want things to go effectively to your kids or whomever. So there's a few components to it that should probably be addressed.
Yeah, the bottom line is you got to address it, and it's never too early to start planning. And so that brings us to the special offer. There's a report that you want our viewers to get. Can you explain what the special offer is?
Yeah, it's that very article, the Fab Five ways to generate retirement income. I wrote it a couple years ago for Fortune, and we have other articles too, but this one will be specific to people who are, you're getting ready to retire. Let's say you're 7 or 8 years out, or you're right around the corner, or maybe you've recently retired and you're wondering, what am I supposed to do with this lump sum? That's a big question, and it takes some expertise. Someone who specializes in this area where we're actually generating retirement income that we can't outlive.
The number for that report, if you'd like, they're limited to the folks who call within the next half hour. Or if you'd like to set up an appointment to visit with Daryl about your retirement, call 402-932-2141. And Daryl joins us here on the show every week. But in between visits, you can tune into KFAB to listen to his show there. Visit dbryant.retirementstrategies.com. Thank you, Daryl.
Thanks a lot. Have a great week.
You betcha. Have a
Guest
great
of the Morning
week.
Blend.